Hi, my name's Kelsey, and welcome to my project. So at the start of the year, I used a lot of text to convey my ideas. I hadn't used TouchDesigner or anything similar before, and I had no idea what the limitations or capabilities were. I came up with a lot of ideas around the idea of self and creating something that was different from yourself. And in a lot of the early experiments for my ideas, it kind of took that form of creating something that was different. So when it came to creating the actual project itself, or coming up with the ideation for the actual project, I decided to make a combination of all of the things that I had been making concepts for in Assessment 1, where creating something new and using the body to create that would be paramount, and making a combination of things that I knew how to do in TouchDesigner already, so things that we'd learned in class, and if I could combine all of those, it would make one ultimately more complex thing that's more than the sum of its parts. So I decided to have the main thing be around the music. The music being pretending to be like a conductor, and having the music be a huge part of the creation of a new experience depending on who or what you are trying to create. So depending on where you are or how tall you are, the experience would be completely different no matter what. Having the objects spawn and their turbulence controlled by your right hand, and have the music, like a conductor's, be controlled by the left hand. If it's more originally, the idea was to have a harsher song on the left side, so it's further away from you, and if you it's a softer song on the right side. But with what ended up happening, I went with two softer songs because it fit the vibe of the actual project a lot better. There was many songs that I really enjoyed and really thought fit kind of well, but none of them kind of fit as well as the ones I ended up choosing with. So I experimented with a lot of different songs. This playlist right here is all of the 13, I think, I narrowed it down to. I had around about 40 or 50 songs that I kept continuously changing between. They were very different in tone. Some of them were more techno-based. Some of them were whimsical. Some of them were as it was, it works. And some of them kind of had that finality towards them. But the ones I ended up going with were two from Yasunori Nishiki for the game Octopath Traveler, which they just are so beautiful, and they fit the visuals really, really well when I managed to put them together, and they blended nicely, which is what really needed to work for the project. So this is the basic structure of the project. It's quite simple in concept, but a lot of the things took a while to figure out and program. So we start with the actual inputs from the Kinect. If I had a Kinect inputted right now, I'd be getting the inputs from the body. And what I chose to grab was the wrist inputs. So the wrist would go into the left and the right here for the left hand and the right hand. And then I'd be able to use the inputs from there. But for what I've got right now, for trialing and changing things, I have a proxy that changes depending on where my mouse is. So higher volume of the different songs, and it also changes the background. So the objects were a huge part of this project because they defined the vibe of the entire project, because I originally envisioned multiple objects being able to be changed through head movement. The extra heart was something that I liked having, but it just didn't work. They all span at the same time, so the orb was what I I went with, and it still works really well for the project. All of these feed into the geo, and then they compiled with the colors at the end. We tried to have the colors be able to cycle nicely, but it wouldn't work, even with a bunch of different LFOs. So we just had the first constant go into the switch for a 5th time, so it lasted a little bit longer, and the switchover was nicer. Overall, I think the project itself has come out actually way better than expected. I thought it was going to be really rather basic when I first started creating it, and I thought it wouldn't be as good as it turned out. When I first actually saw it on the big screen and it actually implemented in a real space with using the Kinect, it felt a lot different to how it looks on just a screen. In person, you can feel your movement actually making a difference into how it was changing, and with the lights off, the occasional black that shows up, and just the red striking of the dots, it just all combined into one thing that really works. And the music choice helped to make that calming but just still interesting vibe that I was really going for with this project. The extra things I'd add if I had more time would be that changing the object with my head. Therefore, you could have more difference in what you create with it, and then be able to hook up to the Kinect more often and get the data values more correct so that there's no dead spots, because occasionally that's what happens with the project. But overall, I think it's a very big success, and I'm glad I was able to implement it to the best of my ability.